Morning, Ray. How you doing? Hello, hello, everybody. Good morning, good morning. Hey, Sloth. Good morning, Ray. How's everyone doing this Saturday? Anyone have any fun plans? Is everyone coming to After Dark tonight? We have an After Dark live special this evening, which is cool, right? I mean, right? It's an additional role for Slime. It's not taking away from one of the regular ones. It's a special one. Only After Dark, and it's actually After Dark, which is kind of funny. Can I stay for the whole? I can't stay for the whole life. Kevin's birthday is today, so heading out. Oh, that sounds fun. Very exciting. Are you guys doing anything like what? Do you have like a theme or anything like that, or are you just birthday theme, which is also fine. Obviously, don't get me wrong. I just never know if if there's like a milestone birthday. People sometimes do like taekwondo. Oh, fun. You know what's really funny? Secret Husband always points out that when he was growing up in the Midwest, the only like themed birthdays that he saw that weren't for little kids were that makes sense, right? Where he said he used to always see signs in the neighbors' yards that would say, "Holy cow, he's 50 now," when dudes would turn 50 in the neighborhood. I thought that was really funny. So someday when Secret Husband turns 50, I am absolutely going to make a sign that says, "Holy cow, he's 50 now," with a cow on it. Only because he talks about it so much. Skipping book club today, currently watching Men's Breaking. I don't know what that means. What is Men's Breaking? Not sure what that is. I assume it's an Olympics thing, but doesn't register for me. Breakdancing. Oh, I see. That does make sense. After say the invite, it's kicking. That's very cute. Perfect theme for Secret Husband's 50. Yes, I don't think he wants it, but I'm making him have it because he talks about it so much. Just mad hiccups. With high kicking cat. That's amazing. Excuse me. I love it. That sounds great. Sounds great. Why do you call him Secret Husband? Because it just happened. Yeah. It was just the development of how he moved along. It's coffee time. It's the first time they've had a breakdance, and I was trying to see if anyone I recognize. Yeah, I saw one video of some breakdancing from the Olympics, and I was a little confused, if you will. There was a woman from another country, I think Australia maybe, doing some breakdancing, and I was like, we could have just picked up some kids on the streets in New York and they would have done a more efficient job, but maybe breakdancing isn't big in other countries, I don't know. It was weird to see. I was like, what's she doing? Looked weird. I'm no expert, but I did live in New York, so I saw it a lot. Yeah, you can't beat the breakdancers from New York. No. No, you cannot. No, you cannot. Oh, look at that fluffy, fluffy milk. Oh, we love it. You cannot beat breakdancers from New York. You cannot. The kids on the streets of New York, they do be good breakdancers. It's true, it's true, it's true. It's so raw, it feels choreographed. Yeah, usually breakdancing doesn't feel so rigid. Hers didn't feel rigid, it felt messy. It was weird. And of course, just like any other dancing, break dancing can be choreographed, of course. But I think it needs to feel like it's not, to feel authentic. I don't know if that's weird. But I'm also no expert by any means. Come on, Milk, you can froth. You can do it. Redacted info posted in your friend's fan page. Ah, perfect, perfect. I will check it out as soon as this is over, Ray. Thank you for sharing. Guys, look how strong my nails are getting. Isn't it amazing? They're like back and long again and natural. Unlike when that person destroyed them. It was sad. Oh, coffee time. Yeah, boy. Yes, yes, yes. All right, let's move over to Reading Nook. Hey, Renee. Good morning. Everyone want to say hi to the Monstera? He's growing nicely. Yes, right? Thank you, thank you, thank you. She's doing a great job of helping my nails grow. It's true, she really is. She wants to make my nails really nice so that I can give her little arm and back scritches when she is born, because that is what her father and cousins are obsessed with. So I assume she will also be obsessed with it. When I was watching Zoe and Ethan, I was helping Zoe go to sleep. I was trying to put her to sleep. And so, you know, I was doing a little bit of this on her back just to try to calm her down, you know, just like one of these. And I said to her, I said, is that okay? Do you like that? And she said, yes, but what if you did it on my arm? Like trying to trick me into doing that. And I was like, sure, honey, no problem. And so I went like this and did little scritches down her arm like this. And she said, yes, that's perfect. And I was like, okay, great. Because we're very careful with them. You know, obviously it's a little different with Ethan because he can't talk, so I just give him little belly rubs and whatever because he's just a cute baby, and eventually he'll be able to tell us what he likes and what he doesn't. But Zoe's old enough to communicate, so I always say, you know, can I have a hug? Would you like a hug? Can I have a high five? Would you like a high five? You know, do you want some cuddles when she's sad? Things like that. I never say like, you have to have it. If she falls down, I say, do you want a kiss on the boo-boo? You know, we don't force anything to her. So I asked her if she wanted back rubs, and she said, what about the arm? I was like, okay, fine, the arm. Yes, it was just funny that she had such a specific preference of where she wanted her scritches. She was like, I definitely want them, but let's figure out where it feels best. It was very cute. It's very early, yes, it's very good early boundaries, and she's actually great about it. We had to teach it to her not only for herself, obviously, because she needs it for herself, but Zoe has two cousins, one who's a little bit older than her and one who's only 2 weeks younger than her. The one who's 2 weeks younger than her is just like her. They're super extroverted, they love other kids, they love being with people, they want to be close to people. But her older cousin is more like me. and he's an introvert, and he doesn't like people close to him, and he doesn't like a lot of touches. And so we had to teach Zoe and his younger brother, like, hey, you know what? He doesn't want touches right now. And that's a really hard thing from kid to kid, you know, especially when they're so little. And so we just, good morning, Ash. We just like taught her, like, you have to ask Noah if he wants to sit close to you right now. You know what I mean? Like, maybe sometimes we give a little bit of space and we ask him, can I sit next to you? And if he says no, that's okay. We'll come back later and try again, you know? Because obviously since they're cousins, she's always gonna try again. It's not like a stranger or something. They're always gonna be together. But Zoe is such a, like, I wanna sit next to you person. We had to teach her that sometimes Noah doesn't wanna sit next to you, you know? And it's not that he doesn't love you, he just doesn't want you so close. Maybe just put a little bit of space. Hello, Chloe and Claire. How are you guys? I was a kid, not an adult. Wait, I missed something. Renee, I think you got what do you call it? Filtered, because I only see that. I didn't see, you didn't get a notification. Yeah, you made it. We were just talking about how funny Zoe is when she specifies her preferences of things. I'm definitely missing the kids this morning. This is our first Saturday without them waking us up, and I was like, Beans, where are the babies? Because they're so cute, you know, just like tiny little feetsies. But, you know, what can you do? I'm so glad that kids are no longer forced to hug and kiss. Yeah, we don't do that with them at all. My sister's very clear that, you know, they can choose. And I even give Zoe options. Like, obviously, Zoe and I are very close. We love each other very deeply. But there are some days when Zoe doesn't feel like a hug, right? And so I'll say, when I'm leaving, I'll say, like, okay, do you want a hug goodbye? And if she says no, I say, okay, how about a high five? And usually she's down with that because it's fast and it's like whatever. But if she says no, I'm like, all right, well, I'll just wave and I'll see you later, you know, and that's okay too. And I want her to know that if she can even choose with someone as close as me, then of course she can choose from a stranger. You know what I mean? Because, like, if even Aunt Sasha doesn't always get hugs, then certainly this rando would definitely never get them, you know? That's why it's important. Not that I'm ever gonna hurt her. Of course I'm not. I mean, that's why my sister left them with us. She knows that I'm, like, literally the safest person possible for her children. But because I set those choices up, that's not to say that I don't have rules. They just are never about hugs. You have to pick up your toys. You have to eat your dinner. Not all of it, but you do have to have some of it. Stuff like that. And, you know, we don't always get popsicles. That was a really hard line for Zoe. She did not like that I had rules about when and where we could have popsicles. This was such a conversation, you guys. I can't even begin to tell you, like, how trying to explain to Zoe certain places in the house where popsicles didn't belong. I was like, baby girl, I love you so much, but that's not where we eat popsicles. Zoe really wanted to take her popsicle with her in the bathtub, specifically. And I was like, it's gonna be a no from me. It's a no. And there are a lot of reasons why that I can't really explain to you because they won't make sense to you, but I'm just gonna go ahead and say it's a no. You can have your popsicle before bath, or you can have your popsicle after bath, but not in the bath. Hey. So anyway, that's my story about boundaries with Zoe. We have to have boundaries in both directions. She gets to choose when she wants a hug, and I get to choose where she gets to eat her popsicles. It's great. It works really well for everyone. It's important, right? Morning. All right, I think everyone is just about here now. So we'll go ahead and get started on our reading for the day. Don't forget, if you are here, we do have After Dark Roll for Slime tonight. It is at 6 o'clock, so it's a true After Dark. Should be fun. You know, got a lot of stuff going on tonight, so. And I got new charms in, so that's also fun. It's always a good time. All right, we are on chapter 2. By the time Nicole, Mom, and I got off the plane in Tampa, it was 2 in the morning and I was exhausted, but excited.
I was leaving home for something big. I had already made huge sacrifices, like leaving behind my Smurf collection, but that's what you do when you're on a mission to clear the planet. She knows she's being funny. I know she knows. I know this is no accident, but it's funny anyway. We were headed to the Gulf Coast city of Clearwater, Florida, the mecca of Scientology, otherwise known as FLAG, a carryover from the Sea Org term flagship, which itself was a carryover from Hubbard's ships when he moved back to land in 1975. We had to come there to get the whole planet to clear, the goal of Scientology. Explanation. Clear is the state on the bridge that you achieve through Scientology auditing when you no longer have a reactive mind, which is defined as hidden source of irrational behavior, unreasonable fears, and upset insecurities. The bridge is the route or guide to each higher state. As the Scientology literature states, one walks it and one becomes free. Okay, well. It would be a fresh start for all of us, including Mom and Dennis, who were now married and expecting a baby in 3 months. Dennis stayed back in Brooklyn to deal with getting rid of everything in our apartment and to accumulate more money, knowing that we wouldn't be making much after this point. He planned to join us in a few weeks. While on the plane, I imagined the welcome we would get when we landed. I pictured men in suits waiting for us at the gates. "Ron has been expecting you," one of them would say to me before handing me a freshly pressed military uniform. And then they would lead us to a stretch limousine with tinted windows. I wasn't sure if Scientology had a flag, but if there was one, it would be flying from the hood. Instead, the airport was pretty much deserted upon our arrival, aside from a guy working a floor buffer. We made our way down to baggage claim, where I took my suitcase and Nicole took the other two since Mom was pregnant. Mom kept looking around as if she was expecting someone to be there, but they were missing. Nicole and I followed her out of the terminal, and once we got outside, Mom looked left and then right, and her worried expression began to scare me. Ma, is anyone gonna pick us up?" I asked, but she ignored me and she walked back into the airport, where she found a payphone. She fished out a quarter and made a phone call. No one on the other end picked up. Nicole and I shot each other a look and stayed quiet. Mom tried calling again. This time, she let it ring for a long, long time until someone finally picked up. "Where are you?" she yelled. "No, listen, I don't have money for a cat." "Okay, fine, I'll get one. But someone better be there to pay for it when we get there." After a half-an-hour drive, we arrived at the Fort Harrison, a historic hotel that had fallen into disrepair before L. Ron Hubbard bought it in 1975, with the idea of turning Clearwater into the spiritual headquarters for all of Scientology. The largest old-school lobby looked like the kind of thing that you would see in movies, like horror movies. There were marble staircases that descended to a large room with soaring columns, iron chandeliers, black and white checkered floor, and creepy chairs that looked like they belonged in Dracula's castle. It was dead quiet until Mom started hitting the bell on the front desk. No one was there to receive us. When someone finally did show up, we were escorted to a cabana room near the pool, where we were allowed to stay among paying parishioners until space opened up for us at what was to become our regular berthing, or housing for members of the Sea Org. Okay. We were among Scientologists who had flown in from all over the country to do their service and or upper OT levels, those above clear on the bridge. Eventually, we moved 30 minutes away from the Fort Harrison to what would be our new home. We pulled into what looked like a deserted motel. It was a Quality Inn. The motel housed Sea Org members and some staff who worked at the Fort Harrison and surrounding orgs or churches. This Quality Inn was running very low on quality. It was shabby, disgusting, and frankly, depressing. The pool we passed on the way to our room was literally a swamp. The Sea Org member who was showing us around said to my mom, "Vicky, you come with us and the girls are going to go to the girls' dorm. The only way that we could get our own room is if you were married or had a baby. Mom's room was in the back of the motel. Meanwhile, we were in the front." Our room, one that would normally accommodate one double bed, was crammed with 3 bunk beds, which slept 6 girls. Our tight acid-wash jeans, cropped t-shirts, mullets, and Nick was wearing a puka shell necklace, and I was wearing so sorry guys. I was wearing a rope chain featuring a charm that read, "Little Brat." Talk about Brat Summer a little early, am I right? That was pretty funny. She was like, hey, I had this long ago. I'm not mad about it, to be honest. We definitely didn't look like any Scientologists that they knew. After we walked into our room and over to our beds, one of the girls said, you're not allowed to wear perfume. You might want to do something about that because I can't breathe. Another girl on the far right top bunk blew smoke away from her cigarette like it was bothering her, even though she was the one smoking it. It took a second, but then I remembered. They're the girls from the New York org. She looked at me tentatively, but in another instance, I could see that she remembered me too. Sherry jumped off her bunk and gave me a hug. From there, we were shown the galley, which is where we were to report if we wanted meals. They served breakfast from 6 to 7:15 only. Eesh. The floors were sticky with old food, and the plates so slick with grease that my eggs slid right off and onto the filthy parquet below. Oh, God. I held out my plate for more eggs, but the cook said, get out of my line and learn to be present at time. And just like that, I wasn't going to eat. So we're going straight in on child abuse here. It's cool, yeah. This seems particularly apropos in a time when the, I'm not even going to use the word because I don't want the flag on here, but the people on the other side are angry about free school lunches. Maybe more places need free lunches. What do you guys think? Anyway, later we met my mom at the recruitment office. The head of recruitment put down on the desk a white piece of paper with 2 seahorses flanking the words Sea Organization Contract of Employment. You have to sign the contract to be here, the officer said. I looked at the contract and I was baffled. I was asked to pledge myself for an eternal commitment to the Sea Org for 1 billion years in order to bring ethics to the whole universe. Let's just review this contract one more time. Pledge myself for an eternal commitment for 1 billion years. Okay. In accordance with Scientology beliefs, members are expected to return, it's a bit excessive, yes, just a little. Members are expected to return to the Sea Org when they are reborn over multiple lives. So you can't even get out if you die, is what I'm seeing here. You can die and you're still in. Okay. Sounds definitely not a cult, you guys. This is definitely not a cult. Nah, don't worry about it. Hey, Ma, we gotta sign this? Yes, you have to sign this. Hey, Nick, are you gonna be here in 1 billion years? Yeah, she said. Are you? Yeah, well, definitely. What are you gonna look like? You're really effing old. We both started laughing, but Mom shot us a look and then we both just signed the paper. Ironically, okay, but also like, you can't sign a contract with a child. Like, these are barely little teenagers. They're not even 16 yet. I mean, it's not legally binding. You can't do that. I guess if their mom is there, she could sign for it, but like, it's terrible. It just, I don't like it. Ironically, even though she was promised by the recruiters that she could become a member of the Sea Org, my mother, who at this time had been affiliated with the church, worked for it, and been on course for a few years, didn't qualify for the organization because she had done LSD over a decade ago. So we don't forgive sins here, is what I'm hearing. Okay. After we, whether or not you consider LSD a sin is not up for debate. That's not even my point, but you get the point, right? After we signed our billion-year contracts, Nicole and I were put on the EPF, or Estates Project Force, part of the basic Sea Org training for the new recruits. It was a lot like boot camp. Judgy McJudgersons, yeah, literally. All EPFers spent 12 hours a day doing hard labor, like pulling up tree roots with our bare hands. Oh, this sounds a lot like what Paris dealt with. It's starting to sound familiar, you guys? One of these things is a lot like the other. One of these things might be literally the same. Pulling up tree roots with our bare hands, working heavy machinery on the grounds of the Fort Harrison and the Sandcastle, or cleaning bathrooms and hotel rooms. And then for 2.5 hours each day, we would do the basic courses for EPF, in which you learned the Sea Org policies and rules and what it meant to be a member. We were all given detailed check sheets which listed all the actions we needed to take in order to complete each course. The first, of course, being how to study Scientology. In studying the policies, we learned quickly that there's no middle ground or room for interpretation. Any questions we asked were answered with, well, what does LRH say? It's giving WWJD. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's definitely giving WWJD energy. You couldn't ask your supervisor for help other than, where can I find the policy that says what to do here? And if you disagreed with something, the supervisor would answer that with, okay, well, let's see what you don't understand here. Okay. You know, a lot of these places where, like the one Paris was in, like this, where they're forced to do free labor, reminds me a lot of the discussion where, you know, a lot of people who are, I want to say this kindly, a lot of people who are here with less education generally tend to have jobs that a lot of us don't want. And I know that that sounds really mean, but it's just a thing that happens, okay? And it's not fair. I'm not saying it's right or fair, but there are jobs that don't require certain levels of skill, and you just kind of regularly get them. And then people say things like, well, if only, like they might say, and I'm not saying this is correct, this is just a thing that we hear all the time. Someone might say, well, if only immigrants want to have those jobs, who was doing them before the immigrants came? And then, you know, the answer is, hi, have you ever heard of slavery? Like, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but that's who was doing it before. But like, all of this is just like a new form of that. Prison and the work that they have to do there that they really don't get paid for is just a new form of that. These kinds of work camps and situations, like basically Scientology just has a bunch of people doing free labor for them, which is just, and this is not charity work, you guys. Like, there's some free labor when it's charity work is a totally different ballgame. Like, I do charity work all the time, but I don't feel put upon by it. I'm choosing to do it. It's something that I want to do to give back to the community. Fine, no big deal. You know, it's just something that strikes me when I read things like this and I read things like Paris's memoir. But Jennifer, do you disagree? I mean, it kind of is the same, right? Like, on some level, it's a little bit less, it's not quite as bad, obviously, as what was happening prior, you know, but it's still not good. You know, it's just it's a version with maybe less. It's absolutely part of the control. It's absolutely part of the control, but it's definitely its own new form of slavery. You know, it really is. Very strange. I'm not a big fan. It's one of the reasons, like, I have so many friends who all the time offer to do things for me, and I'm like, I cannot accept free labor. Like, I just can't do it. I will always pay them some way or another, especially when it's something that has a lot of money. Yeah. And they've got bajillions, by the by. It's not like they don't have the funds to pay people who are cleaning their bathrooms. Like, please. Anyway, let's keep reading and we'll see what we find out. Once, as a requirement during my coursework, my supervisor gestured toward a demo kit, one of which was located on every student's study table. It was a little basket filled with everyday objects like paper clips and chess and checkers pieces. My supervisor told me to physically act out the, I can't say this word on here, smexual policies for the Sea Org members with the objects in the kit. In a room filled with other trainees, by some reading and some doing drills, by using these things here, show me what the policy is, the supervisor said. The policy stated that it was forbidden for Sea Org members to have beep boop and physical contact of any kind before marriage. So I took a paperclip and a chess piece to stand for a girl and a boy and rubbed them together saying, this is not allowed. And then I had the girl and boy touching each other side by side and said, this is not allowed. And then I put the girl and boy on opposite sides of the demo kit and said, this is allowed. The supervisor took my check sheet and signed it so that I could move on to my next assignment. One day, when I was working, Mike Kerley, I don't know how to say this name, it's K-E-H-R-L-I, Kelry, I'm really not sure. An older man who was the head of the EPF singled me out right away. He was tall and gaunt, reminding me of a cowboy from the movies. You're a little troublemaker, huh? He said. Yeah, I don't know, I've been told that, I replied, trying to be cute. Yeah, I can tell you right now, you will address me as yes, sir, or no, sir, or Mr. Kearley, nothing else. Oh, right, yeah, okay. Not, oh, right, sir. Nicole chimed in and said, we don't know the rules here. Yeah, well, you're gonna have to figure them out because I'm putting you in charge of the Sandcastle Hotel crew, he said, looking right at me. Me? I was all of 13. Again, in Scientology, children and adults are viewed equally, so it wasn't odd to them that I might be in charge of some adults on my watch as well. And I now had responsibilities that no teenager back in Brooklyn could ever imagine. I was learning something here in this weird environment that combined a lot of freedoms and a lot of structure. Yeah, they made us do hard labor all day, but I was no longer being treated like a child. I rose to the occasion and did the job I was tasked with and came up with a plan to reward my crew. If we got the sandcastle cleaned in half the time, with good feedback from the guests via questionnaires that they filled out, the next day we could spend half the day sitting on our asses at the pool. Honestly, that seems fair to me, actually. I'm not above it. I kind of like, a little reward system for work. That sounds good, actually. I was a boss running the crew, and I was going to make some serious executive decisions, and I had to read on my course, I had read on my course that you reward good work, and in my mind, I was taking my orders directly from LRH. With the incentive of possible time off, the crew was motivated to clean better and faster. We got positive feedback from the guests and headed to the Sandcastle's pool after we finished cleaning. We were all lying by the pool when Mike Carey walked by. He did a double take when he saw us. "What the hell are you doing?" he said, his face turning a deep shade of red. The thought that I might need to clear my plan with anybody hadn't even crossed my mind. I considered myself an executive of the Sea Org now. I read the policy. Get up, clean all these deck chairs, and meet me at the dock, he said, and then stormed off. When we got down to the marina, Mike was waiting for us in a motorboat, and after we crammed into the small boat, he started driving out of the marina and into the bay, into the real ocean. He was dead silent, his eyes in weather-beaten face staring out at the horizon until we were so far out that the marina was no longer visible, and then he cut the engine and started screaming at me. I have to tell you guys, at this point, I would think that I was going to be ended and I would be so panicked, I would not know what to do. If I was 13 and we were all put on a boat and taken out into the middle of the ocean when someone was mad at me, I would be sure that I was gonna end up at the bottom of it. I would just be like, well, this is it. I'm gonna swim with the fishes for the rest of eternity. Forget those billion years, I'm going down. I mean, like, what else are you supposed to think? That's insane. This is an insane scare tactic for a child. It's ridiculous. She's too young. That's not even okay for an adult, let alone a child. And by the by, a 13-year-old is a child, and I stand by that. Never do you sit in a public place. You are Sea Org members. Don't you know that the pool at the hotel is for paying guests only, not for you to be enjoying? Do you understand me? He yelled. Actually, he was shouting so loud that I almost couldn't decipher what he was saying. Bye, Jen, we'll see you soon. Was he even speaking English? Honestly, I wasn't sure. I said. It's yes, sir, he said. I thought I was following LRH and rewarding my team, and I didn't know who these paying Scientology people were, but I was a member of the Sea Org, a bad MFer from Brooklyn clearing the planet. So just like I practiced with Nicole back home, I pushed down my emotions and got my TRs in and stayed silent. I mean, maybe Mike didn't know LRH had written to me personally, that I had come back from another life for him. Hello? Mike kept trying to get me to say yes, sir, but I couldn't do it. And then he picked me up before I even realized what was happening, and he threw me overboard. What? Nope. Scariest scenario imaginable. Too scary. I'm sorry, you guys, it's too scary. I don't think I would recover from this. God bless her for recovering from it, because it couldn't be me. I'm not gonna lie. The shock of the moment and the freezing water took my breath away, and for an instant I thought I was going to drown, but I sputtered and began frantically dog paddling. Yes, sir, Mike shouted. I couldn't do it. The words just wouldn't come out. Once I gathered myself, I became calm. The waves were choppy, but I was okay because I could swim. I began to tread water, and this had become a battle as far as I was concerned, and I wasn't sure if I would win. Mike, who was following a policy practiced by LRH called overboarding, which entails throwing a crew member overboard as a form of reprimand, picked me up by my shirt again, but this time it was to pull me back into the boat. We returned to the marina in silence. I was soaking wet and humiliated at what had happened, but there was a part of me that thought deep down Mike Kearley might just respect me for not backing down. It's oddly similar to Paris's experiences when you really think about it. You know what I mean? That being the last memoir that we read, like, it's weirdly similar, you know? Even though I know her mom wasn't trying to send her away to, like, be better like Paris's parents were. Her mom was trying to go with her, so that part's different. But, like, corporal punishment and all that. You really do, Jennifer. I have the whole thing up on our YouTube if you'd rather listen to it than read it. We did it as a collective, and we discussed just like this. It was very great. It was great. A few weeks after we moved to the Flag, we went back up to New York to see my father. Shortly after we arrived, we were sitting around the kitchen table, and he asked, what are you doing down there in Florida? I'm a housekeeper, I said. Your mother moved you to a cult to be a housekeeper? I mean, okay, we don't like her dad, but he's not wrong in this situation. Well, yeah, we clean hotel rooms that people pay money to stay in. You're learning to clean hotel rooms? That's what you're learning? Well, yeah, but we just got there. It's a part of basic training. Ellie's mad at both of us. Ellie, honey, why are you mad at why are you mad at Aunt Sasha? What did Aunt Sasha do? I don't remember doing anything bad. Why are you mad at me? I started getting flushed. I felt the need to defend my position. It's what we were doing to help clear the planet, but I was not able to present it to him in the right way and ended up ultimately doing the work a disservice. Yeah, well, how much are you making? He asked. $15 a week. Donna, he yelled to my stepmom, get me the help wanted section from the paper. He found an ad and showed it to me. You see this? $125 a week for a housekeeper, and you're making a lousy $15? Well, Dad, they're giving us room and board, I said, once again trying to defend it, but ultimately there was no use. He was convinced that he was right, and he felt the need to belittle me and what I believed in to prove it. Belittling her is wrong, but he's right about the rest. I mean, like, his approach is bad, but he's not wrong. That's the problem here. Like, wrong vibe, right everything else. Ugh, it's really hard. This is very difficult because I'm on his side, but, like, he's doing it wrong. Yeah, she heard you ran overexcited and you aren't holding a baby. It's true. Ellie, the baby's not born yet. She's too small. She's only this big right now. She can't come out. She won't be good. She has to get bigger first. But she'll come out. Don't worry, honey. Little did he know that by attacking Scientology, he simply ended up pushing me back into its arms. Them against us. I thought that this guy had no idea that I was fighting for his eternity. We returned to Florida, and I have to admit, Dad pointing out that I was making only $15 a week along with all this hard labor was starting to bother me a little. I was here to do important work and be sent on vital missions, and more importantly, to wear heels and stockings and a uniform with a cap, Navy style. I imagined myself clicking around the organization in my heels and yelling at people to clear the planet, but that wasn't happening. It was right about then that I noticed that one of the kids from my sandcastle crew was wearing a uniform and was on post, meaning that he had a real Sea Org job that was definitely not cleaning toilets. "How the F did you get off the EPF?" I asked him. "You have to complete the courses and show up to study time," he replied. Nick and I had been taking the opportunity of study time to hide in the bathroom and take a nap in the tub, or take the hotel shuttle buses back and forth from Fort Harris into the sandcastle, enjoying a break and some air conditioning. Up until this point, I was under the impression that my bad attitude was what was holding me back from the EPF, that once I had a more positive mindset, I would be magically rewarded and promoted and assigned a uniform and, of course, the all-important high heels. Nick and I quickly changed our ways and got on course. We wanted off the EPF, and soon. While I was making progress and heading in the right direction with my training, there was one thing that I couldn't come to terms with. I thought a lot about my infant sister Shannon, a sweet little blonde, blue-eyed thing, and whenever I could, I went to visit her in the nursery where she stayed during the day while my mom was working. Nursery was a charitable term for a motel room in the Quality Inn filled with cribs of crying, neglected babies, flies, and the smell of dirty diapers. The only ventilation came from a huge fan by the window. That's not okay. Gross. I hate it. I hate everything about it. It's terrible. Not good. This was where the Sea Org members and the staff dropped off their babies at 7 in the morning and then picked them up at 10 in the evening when their work was over. What? We had an hour for lunch, but the shuttle took half an hour to go from Flag back to the Quality Inn. So even if parents wanted to visit their children, they would have to turn around practically as soon as they arrived. It took advantage of any opportunity to sneak away and check in on Shannon. The first time I went to the nursery, I was devastated by what I found. The person in charge was a kid, like me, just some random teenage Sea Org member on post who was hardly qualified to be taking care of children. Shannon was crying and soaked with urine in her crib. Before changing her and returning to my post, I vowed that I would not let her grow up this way. The neglect was overwhelming. I would immediately demand that the person on post clean up and change the babies. I would sometimes leave my post for a while to take Shannon out of there. I complained to my mother about it, and she complained to her seniors, who threatened that she would be taken off her job and demoted. She continued to voice her concerns about it, and they told her to write it up in a report, but nothing was ever done. It really weighed on me. Though I was buying into the program, it raised a question inside me. While I didn't care so much about me, I wondered if we were doing right by this baby. At this time, my mother revealed that we had no home to return to. Dennis wasn't coming to join us after all. At first, he made excuses that he couldn't accumulate more money by staying, could accumulate more money by staying behind, but ultimately, he found someone else, had gotten rid of the apartment, and moved on. Oh, Dennis, we were rooting for you. We were all rooting for you. Dennis, I'm very disappointed. They were getting a divorce. Dennis, the man who claimed he would never do anything to harm us, who made us change our whole lives and live within the world of Scientology, who cheated on our mom while she was pregnant, had now left us. We were heartbroken, and it hit us like a punch in the stomach. I knew even then that we were moving it, I was, Naisa, I really was. I knew even then that moving in with my dad and stepmom was not an alternative. The Sea Org and its practices may have been hard on us, but at my dad's house, my sisters and I would have been called, yikes, the C word, ingrates, and selfish a-holes for crimes like pulling the laundry out before it was completely dry. Dad would tell Nicole and me over and over again throughout our childhood that he wasn't even sure we were his real children because our mother was a beep boop. And on top of this, during our brief time that we did spend with my dad, we lived in fear of his violent episodes. To us, the thought of living with him was worse than joining a cult. We realize now more than ever that we didn't have a choice but to stay in Florida. We had nowhere else to go. We couldn't leave our mom there to raise this baby on her own. Being in the Sea Org was what our mother wanted for us, and so we thought if we worked long hours and lived in a filthy dorm, we were committed to staying by her side. I promise you girls, Mom said, it will get better. I don't know that it will. I don't know that I believe her, if we're being honest with one another. Big yikes. You know, I wanted to talk to you guys about something because I really wanted to get a wider breadth of opinion about something I saw this morning. And I wasn't actually planning on talking about it here, but hearing about the nursery and this kind of reminded me of it. And I wanted to see what you all thought. Okay, so bear with me for a second and give me your thoughts on this. Now, you all know I have a very clear stance on commenting on other people's videos with things that I don't agree with. I don't do it. It's just not something that I'm willing to engage with. If I see something online I don't agree with, I just scroll by. But every once in a while, if I see something that, it's okay, Amanda, we're actually having a discussion that you might have an opinion on. I just started this thing that I saw. So sometimes if I see a video that stands out to me, and I'm not talking about clickbait, I'm talking about like something that looks like they mean well, but I look at it and I go, you know, like a little bit of a, what's going on here? I sometimes read the comments to like get the temperature of what's going on with it. You know what I mean? I don't ever comment on it. I won't do that. Unless I have something positive to say, but I will read through to kind of see what's going on, right? Just out of curiosity of like the temperature of the whole situation. So I see different things like this. This morning, I was scrolling a little bit, you know, as I was waking up, and I saw a video where a woman said, because I've been getting, now that the internet has figured out that I am having a baby, of course I am inundated with baby content, which is fine. I'm not upset about that. I love the baby content, love to see it. I love being educated. It's all, you know, seeing every side of it is important, yeah? So this video was a woman who, her like title said like, make lunch for my 10 daycare kids with me, or something like that, right? And I was watching her make this meal. Becca. I was watching her make this meal, and almost immediately I was like, ooh, I don't think I would feed this to kids, right? But as I said, I am committed to never, like, that's not something I would comment on this person's post. Just because that's my belief doesn't mean that I'm going to say that and blow up someone's life. You know what I mean? It's not my business. My kid doesn't go to your daycare. It's up to the parents whose kids go there. It's not for me or the internet to decide, right? It's up to those parents to decide. So fine. Everyone has a different stance on what they, I don't know, Becca. I think if you saw it, you might feel differently. But anyway, so I saw what she was making and I was like, I don't love what I'm seeing here. And so I opened up the comments to see what the world at large, or because it had a lot of comments on it, right? And almost exclusively it had comments from other countries, which I thought was really interesting. This video had clearly gone viral in Europe, not here, even though the person in the video is here in the United States somewhere, don't know where. And all of the European people commenting on it were basically saying what I was thinking, which was, yikes, I don't think we would. She's from, okay, you know who it is? Okay. And I was just like, and they were not being nice. Some of them were being okay. Some of them were being downright mean. And I don't think that's okay. As I said, I don't advocate for that. But it was really interesting because we do have like a food disparity problem with income inequality here in the United States. And it's interesting to me how even like the lowest income people in other countries get higher quality and less processed food. I know this having lived in a very poor country and seen how much food costs there, and it's very cheap, right? Like groceries in Italy don't cost very much. You can buy all fresh food in Italy for like a fourth of the cost that you can here. And it's really interesting to me, especially as someone who's about to be a parent and feed a child, right? So I don't know, I was just trying to get your all's thoughts. Do any of you send your kids to daycare or school for school lunches? And what do you do? And what is your philosophy on that? I guess is my thought and my question. And then since a lot of you know who it is, what did you think when you saw the meal? Were you like, yeah, that looks fine to me? Or were you also like, yikes, I don't know? I would expect more if I was paying for my kids to be fed. Okay, that's fair. That's a fair opinion. Yeah, because daycare costs money is what you're saying. It's not like free school. It's not like public school where you pay it out of taxes. It's like an extra cost. You also saw that, Brianna. And I'm not judging the woman. Listen, she's doing the best that she can to get by for those kids. So like I said, it's up to the parents whose kids there. I'm just curious as someone who's about. So it looked like frozen meatballs, which actually I don't have a problem with. I actually get the frozen meatballs from Trader Joe's for my niece and nephew. But like she put an entire bottle of basically high sugar barbecue sauce and jam into the meatballs. So that part, so a lot of the people in Europe took issue with the fact that the meatballs were frozen. I didn't take an issue with that part. I took more issue with what she was putting on the food. An entire bottle of bottled barbecue sauce is basically just a cup of sugar being poured on top of the meatballs, which I don't think is necessary. That part I took issue with. And then I'm trying to remember what else was in the meal, but a lot of people correctly pointed out there was no fruit or vegetable. And then the people who were defending her were like, oh, there's potatoes on that. Potato's a vegetable. And it's like, I mean, potato is a vegetable, but you know, because is it really? You know what I'm saying? Let's see. I will say she does use meat from my couch, but as I grew up with my mom doing the same in-home daycare. Yeah, I didn't take issue with the frozen meatballs, actually. That part doesn't bother me. Like I said, I get them from Trader Joe's all the time. As a mom, I just want my kids to eat, so if they're eating, I have no issue. That's fair. It's not healthy when it's fried. Yeah, they were French fries. Yeah. It's weird because they have to follow a food program. Fruits and vegetables are a requirement. Right, but there weren't any, Amanda, unless you count potato. Which to me, potato goes in the starch family, not in a vegetable family. He's a little picky eater, so I hope he'll eat most of the time. That's fair. That's totally fair. I work for food services public school system, and the meal would not have been acceptable. Really, Nikki? That's surprising. That's why I'm saying it's weird. It is weird, Amanda. I agree with you. It is weird. So I was just curious what, like, you know, I understand in short, she shortcuts the food program. If it's what I'm thinking is she's no longer on a food program. I see. Potatoes are considered a vegetable. Okay, so that's how she get away with it. All right. I don't know. I know I have, yes. Well, that's what I was thinking, Nikki. Yeah, so that's what I was saying. Like a lot of the commenters from Europe took issue with the fact that the meat was frozen before she started, but I actually don't think that's an issue because like we've all learned that like flash frozen vegetables are, because they're frozen so early on, they actually hold a lot more of the nutrients and they don't go bad as quickly. So I actually don't take issue with the frozen part. Like I don't see an issue there. If you want to buy stuff in bulk and put it in your freezer, you know what I mean? Like that doesn't bother me. It's more the rest of the stuff that I took issue with. I don't see any issue with starting with frozen things if you need to. Like that part, get down with your bad self. Yeah, it's interesting. I don't know. Like I said, I would never comment on the I would never comment on her post as like a negative thing. I just was curious about everyone's thoughts. You know, I because I have a dietary restriction, I always look at things through that lens, which is not everybody's lens, right? And that's fair. Was she blonde? Honestly, I don't remember, Amanda. I'm 100% not sure. I wouldn't even be able to say. But I will say almost all of the comments were exclusively European, which was interesting. I thought that was really interesting. I can't remember what else she gave them. I know French fries and meatballs were on the list. Yeah, I'm just not sure. I can't remember what else was on there on the plate. I know she had a couple of different things. Meatballs, French fries. Because I remember watching her plate it. And there are a couple times that I was just like, you know, I don't know. But listen, everybody has to make their own decisions for their own kids. And I guess, I mean, I don't know. If anyone has their kids in daycare, do they tell you what they're feeding the kids? Because there's one daycare person on here and I wouldn't like the meal she gives. One's on a food program and one's not. Jessica is 10 and Hannah is 7. It's a person who had 10. It's a person who had 10 kids in their daycare. I know that for sure because she said, "Help, watch me make a meal for." I guess my other thing is like, my sister gets a daycare menu for the month for my nephew's daycare. Okay, you do. My issue is if it's her own kid, whatever, she's feeding kids that aren't hers. Yeah, but what I guess my question is, if the parents see the menus, then that's on them kind of, right? Not on her. If she's being upfront and saying, this is what I'm feeding your kids, then they have a right to remove the kid if they want. I mean, you know, go to a different daycare if you don't like it, I guess, right? I'm like, look, I'm not, you know, I think she feeds them on the fly. Oh, that's different. Yeah. Well, skirting around other things, but then putting it out publicly where there's like millions of views. So like, it's not like the parents can't see it. You know what I mean? I don't know. Also, everywhere's different. Parent provides snacks. Yeah. I mean, like, obviously, Secret Husband and I are in a very different situation. We both work from home, so we're very lucky that we don't have to rely on daycare because not only do we both work from home, but we have family nearby that have, you know, offered to help out. So we're blessed in that regard. But it's just something I've been thinking about a lot. You know, it's very interesting. And the only reason I thought of it now was because of hearing about the nursery and this, which is obviously way worse. You know, you hear too many horror stories about daycares and the situations that go on there. It's just like scary, you know. I try to feed my kids well, and then I have, well, you know, and there's that's different, but this is like a group of kids, so there's no way that all these kids can have the same proclivities. I'm so glad you don't have to send her anywhere. I can't. Yeah, no. You need to do what's best for you, but there's a lot of scary stuff that happens too. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's weird. It's weird that that they it's strange to me, the daycare system. So we'd be seeing Ray Gun the musical brought to you. Wait, what? Brian, I don't even know about it. What is that? I didn't even know he was doing a new musical, but God bless us all. Anytime Ken Davenport is doing a new musical. One of my kiddos came home with bruises from a home daycare. Yeah, you're talking about the kids that you nannied, not your actual children. Yeah. My mom did in-home daycare, and I still never sent my kids to daycare. Yeah. The parents of both those creators just watch their videos so they know what their kids are eating. Yeah, the tragic life story of the Australian. Brian, I saw that. That's funny. She cried in the ER for me, not her parents, so I was called in. Oh my gosh, that's terrible. Oh God. I hope Ken Davenport does a musical about her life. I really do. That would be the epic of the century. So anyway, that's just food for thought for the day. You know, that's my food for thought for the day. Are you planning on going live tonight? Yes, we have an After Dark live tonight, which takes place via Patreon only because TikTok does not allow that content, and it will be at 6 p.m. this evening. Literally food for thought. Yes, literally food for thought. I was a center director and I have stories. Ooh, Amanda, don't tell me. I'd be too heartbroken. I can't do it. It's too much, you know? I'm too picky. And I know that, you know, and I know that I come from a place of privilege of being able to be picky. I know that there are a lot of places where getting whole, fresh foods is extremely difficult for people. So I do not take that lightly. I just wish that as a country, Wait, your lives get more adult than my troll comments. Yeah, yes. They do, Brian. We do an After Dark live privately on YouTube. I just wish that we had the ability to provide the people of our country the more affordable whole foods that other countries do. I've been in survival mode to be happy that they were eating and being fed by someone. Yeah, that's fair too. That is fair too. All of it is a fair assessment, you know. But if we as a country had the ability to, like I'll just give you an example. This is just like a really basic example. I don't even know how much water bottles cost here anymore, but like in Italy, it's really common for people to buy bottled water rather than like having filters or whatever. And a giant multi-liter bottle of water in Italy is 50 cents. It's 50 cents, you guys. Almost anybody can afford that, right? You know, that's just like an example. Or like a pound of tomatoes here would cost me like $4 and change, let's say. In Italy, it's like $1.50. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's a lot more palatable. Yeah, Jack, I get it. You have to. When you got to, right? If we didn't work from home, I don't know what we would do, right? And there's been talk at Secret Husband's company about them having to go back into the office, and he's like, no, I have a contract. I started this contract as a remote worker. I'll fight it because I'm going to stay here with her, you know? He was like, this is the contract, and if they want to fire me, I'll sue them because this is my contract, you know? How much money do you think Rent's Kevin McCullum sold Greatest Showman rights for back to Disney? I would say probably somewhere in the range of like $5 million. Something like that. And he'll get a portion of the profits. That would be my guess. The Primo ones are $15. Yeah. So I'm just saying, I wish that he's a great secret dad. There are good ones out there, but not everyone has the privilege. Agreed. Not everyone has that privilege. Why would they have to be in the office? They don't have to be in the office. It's BS okay, like their CEO is like on the warpath right now because people complained about how much he makes, and they like complained about it in an anonymous thing, and so he's like threatening them because of their complaints that he's going to send them back to the office. And it's like, oh, you're an idiot as far as I'm concerned. True, Brian. It is his problem. He should cut his funds, but that's neither here nor there. But anyway, I don't know. I was just, you know, wait, what company is Secret Husband? I can't say on here, Brian, but I can DM you. It's definitely one you would know. It's a very public company. It's a publicly traded, very large company. So I can't say on here, but I can tell you in DMs. But yeah, so it's very interesting. It's a very interesting state of things. All I'm saying is I wish that we as a country provided better for people. Yeah, I know, right? Right, Priscilla? Yeah, threats. That's really gonna help. Yeah, a lot of the people who are remote, who during COVID moved away from like where the offices are, were like, what do you want us to do? You know what I mean? They're like, I'm doing budget cuts. I start pitching everywhere. Yeah, literally, just. It's wild. It's wild. Anyway, have a great rest of your day, you guys. I'll see you all at After Dark tonight. After Dark is at 6 p.m. tonight. We have a lot of fun going on. We have some new charms that just came in yesterday, so those will be added to the list. And the new tier is up for anyone who wants to get. Seriously, Amanda. Seriously, if you can't make with $250 a year, we have issues. Seriously, yeah. Can I ask a question real fast? Sure, Whitney. What's up? Yeah, it's all very interesting. I hope that they do some food programs. I hope Tim implements his food program for Minnesota to every state. I hope that they force every state to give free lunches in school. I do. Yeah. Is there a way for me to watch After Dark lives without having a payment? There unfortunately is not, because Patreon doesn't have a setup for that. They will not let you have a thing for that. But the lowest level to watch After Dark is just $3, so it's not a lot. I know it's not feasible for some people, but that is the way that Patreon is set up, and we can't do it here on TikTok because it can't be public, and we can't have it be public on YouTube because kids. I have too many kid followers. Yeah. So that's the issue. Because After Dark is adult only content, I have to be able to lock it to adult accounts specifically. It's a really important thing that I have to do only for After Dark lives. I never do it for, you know, the regular ones because I don't care if the kids watch those. But for After Dark lives specifically, I have to lock it to 18+ accounts. And the only way that I can do that is have it as a private live. So there's not really anything that I can do beyond that, unfortunately. I'm really sorry about that. But, you know, the videos are up in perpetuity. So let's say you subscribe to the $3 level in a later month when you can afford it, all of the old ones are available to you. So that's, you know, an option later as well. You won't have to have missed out on them. Yeah, no, it's not like, the only reason I started doing those lives under lock and key was specifically to have the 18+ age lock. Because I just can't risk it, you know? Like, there's even stuff in book club that we get in trouble for saying that I don't even think is that bad, you know? Like when we were reading Stranger Than Fiction, which is very clearly not a bad book, we were talking about like MJ gummies, you know, and we got a little flag for that when I said the word instead of abbreviating it. You know what I mean? They get real picky on here. So I have to be really careful what I do and say, because unfortunately my livelihood depends on having these accounts, which really sucks. And the more that I get further into my life, the more that I'm angry at myself for allowing my livelihood to be so tied to something that is very fluid. It really sucks. But it is the life that I unfortunately created. So now I have to live with it. Here we are. You do what you gotta do. Anyway. We have After Dark tonight. It's a lot of fun, and I will see you all there. And then, of course, on Monday, we will be back to here, and the lives are public here. So all good there. Have a great rest of your day, you guys, and I will see you later.